Feel free to put your guess as to what I was trying to play into the comments.
I think you did well.
Thank
I
you.
made this strange request, and Jackson did his best to play it.
I did about 10 seconds of research to figure out what I was playing.
Never heard of the theme show to the TV show that I requested, or even the TV show at all. So yeah.
No, not bad for a first attempt. Thank you. Well, here we are once again at the Calligram podcast, and once again we have Jack T. Murphy joining us, who was the lead in Noah's first feature film and Calligram's first feature film, Bloom. So Jack, bit of an interrogation for you.
Hi. Thanks for having me on the show again.
You're more than welcome, Jack. It's been a long time no see.
Yeah, it has. I love stopping by.
Yeah, I noticed you're wearing the same clothes.
Yeah, I wanted continuity. I'm an actor. It's important to me.
I respect that. I respect that a lot. Now, I'm just going to go straight into Bloom if you don't mind.
Let's hit it.
I am curious, once Noah finished the script, we both sent it to you.
Yeah.
Obviously, I hope you had a read of it.
We don't know. We still don't
We're still not too sure.
You didn't say any of the lines when you got on set.
Yeah.
Did you read the film?
You started improvising from the moment you came
And I
on.
said, don't get in the way of my process.
Well, as you were reading the script, I would like to know, like, your, I guess, initial thoughts upon finishing at least your first read, and what you thought of the story as a whole.
What the fuck is this about chickens?
This is.
Even I don't know this.
I knew this was going to get asked.
So Noah, the chickens, what's that about?
Hasn't this already been, like,
Yeah,
not
it's been
answered?
asked. Well,
It's been not
it's
answered
been
multiple times.
50 times, yeah.
Talk about them chickens, man.
How many herbs and spices you come with?
Yes, I think that's what I said when I was asked this before. I was like, it was foreshadowing for the KFC we ate on set.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not even going to lie to you, that is a fair question to have. after
Well,
reading
you
that.
know, it's such an interesting part of the script, and it's the first thing that happens, you know.
Yeah.
So I was, as I started reading this, I was so excited that I'd been sent this script with, like, really no other, like, intro to what it was.
Yeah.
No, there was no, like, character breakdown or, like,
I
byline.
hate all that shit.
Yeah. So I just got this script and I started reading it. So, like, it was like, at first I was like, what have we got here? And then as it unfolded, it was like, I really got into it and enjoyed it on multiple levels. And it invited me to read it again and try and sort of pull answers together for myself. Ultimately, I asked for help. There's a layering to the narrative that's not so easy to grasp when you're just reading a flat script.
Yes,
And I
especially
think-
off script.
Yeah, and then, I think Noah sent me a handy diagram you drew, which was...
Me?
Yeah, you. You took a pretty good stab at, like, piecing it together, I think.
What did I draw a diagram of?
Did you draw a diagram?
You drew a diagram of the script.
I remember
diagram.
drawing a diagram and
No,
sending it on like
Jackson
MS
did.
Paint, but Jackson said, there you go.
A diagram of the script.
Yeah, like I guess, like, timelines or something.
Oh, right.
There you go.
Yeah.
Guess I did that. I genuinely don't remember, but you're welcome.
Yeah. Well, you did it to, like, try and show to Noah what you were thinking about how the script played out.
Gotcha. Okay.
And then Noah echoed that back to me. He's like, oh, Jackson did this. Maybe this will help. And it did.
Okay, good.
Yeah. So, it was a challenging read, but, like, there's, like, a strong emotional core to the film. So the actor in me was like, yeah, great. I see what's happening here. At a scene level, it's all quite easy to grasp. But just how, like, the story is strung together is where it starts to get complicated.
Mm-hmm.
Would be, like, the most polite way I could say it.
Now say it in the impolite way.
Shit's weird.
Yeah.
But that gets, when you're working with dream logic and things like that, it just is what it is. You can't try and make too much sense out of it too quickly, because you're not dealing with, like, the real world we all experience.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you need to invest in, however you, the character, is gonna make sense of it.
Cool.
Yeah, cool.
So I can't even remember how this went down. I know Jackson sent you the script, and I was like,
I can go back even further.
okay, go.
Oh, okay. There we go.
I was
Pretty cool.
out for dinner with friend of the podcast, Zach Allison, and he got a message on his phone and was like, "Oh, it's just Noah." I was like, "No, answer the text." And then Noah was like, "I got a script for Jack. You want to do it?" And I said to Zach, "I'll do it if it's not shit," and he flies me to Brisbane. And both of those things were true.
Yeah.
Like, you guys did fly me up,
Yeah.
and the script wasn't shit.
I don't know if I ever told you this, Jack, but Noah was... Am I allowed to say this?
Yeah, go for it.
Noah was very nervous that you were going to hate the script and not enjoy it. And I kept saying to him, script's great, like, Jack's great, Jack loves you, like, he'll want to hop on, like, it's fine. I know he'll like it.
You know what, I did have some trepidation about reading the script. Because the last thing we did together was like a directing assignment.
Yeah.
And it is like a very early version of Bloom in there.
Yeah, it was definitely playing with ideas.
And I guess, you know, there was some of that I didn't care for. So if it really it was that drawn out into a feature, I think it was mainly, my main gripe was that the character was a screenwriter. And they just kind of screamed a bit too film student to me.
Oh, yeah. No, I hate that shit too.
Yeah.
I think it was like some sort of... Like, I was asked to write that directing assignment, and I sort of wrote that... I felt like I had to write that script out of protest. because the assignment was, here's a directing class that you signed up for. Go shoot a scene. And I was like... This doesn't have anything to do with... So, like, what's the scene? And they're like, oh, you have to write it too. And I'm like, what?
Didn't they just give you scenes?
Yeah, exactly.
You think so?
Like,
I think that's a better challenge of a director to take some, like, foreign material and interpret it.
Absolutely.
And put yourself on top of that.
Yeah. Well, it's way harder too. I mean, like, I believe this, but, like, I just... You know, if people give me a script and ask me to direct it to some extent, my first question is going to be like, well, can I write it? Because I kind of feel like that's the directing. Like, most of my directing is in the script anyhow. Like, that is what it is. And then me getting on set and directing anybody is just being like, I'm just a critic on set, being like, I like this and I don't like that. I don't feel like I'm too much of a director. At least on, like, a technical front in terms of, like, making the movie good.
I suppose it really boils down to how you, the director, want to go about making the film.
Yeah.
You know, I guess there's some directors who want to, like, make the film on set.
Yeah.
Who want to be, like, meddling with performances and creating something in the moment. They go with no shooting plan.
Sure.
They've just got, like, space booked.
Yeah.
And they're going to find it when they get there. And I guess that's not the case for you.
I would do that if I had Kubrick money. If I had a year to shoot, if I could book an actor out for a year, like, book the Overlook Hotel for a year and then work out how you adapt the shot, like, fuck yeah, let's do it. Direct Clockwork Orange out of the book without ever writing a script. Hell yeah, I'm doing that. Like, of course I would do that. Who wouldn't do that? Who wouldn't take the time? But, like, it's literally budgetary, and you have to think about it that way. So, because there's just no money. So you have to do all the prep you can pre, and then just go there and shoot, and whatever you get is what you get. But yeah, that scene that I did for that directing assignment, it wasn't good. I mean, it didn't work. It was... And, like, the other thing is, like, the directing class told you how you had to direct it. They were like, you need to use these shots in your thing in order to, like, do well. Like, we had to do a 180-degree cross shot in it. Like, you know, and, like, I just put that at the start and knocked it out. You know when you, like, went and made tea or some shit?
Yeah.
At the very start of that thing? Yeah, that was literally... The only reason that's in my script is so it's, like, to film you to go around to the other side of you. It's totally superfluous. Just that I had to do it in the criteria so that some guy could be like, yeah, you did that shot. I'm like, yeah, I did. Did it anything to do with the script? Fuck no, it didn't. So, like... Yeah, that script was pretty much shit. And, you know, you feel bad giving shit scripts to actors all the time, and it's just like, what are you going to do? You know, it is what it is.
Yeah.
So you write it quickly, and then you put it out quickly.
The good news is it didn't ruin our working relationship.
True.
I didn't prepare as hard for that as I did for, like, Bloom, for example, so don't feel bad that I was, like, giving you my all.
Yeah.
But then we hung out afterwards and watched Love on a Leash.
That's true.
Did-
I think we did.
And we had a great time.
Yeah, you showed me some Japanese TV commercials.
Oh,
That's
was
what
it
happened.
I cheese one?
I
love that
and the Long Man, I think. Was
Oh,
another thing that
Long
came.
Man.
Yeah. That was good fun. Yeah, I remember that. We shot it at Zach's place too, Zach Allison. So that was, yeah, I do remember that.
And before he dropped out of film school.
Yeah.
And then he did drugs. And then he moved to Melbourne.
And now he's making so much more money than us.
Yeah. So the moral of that
Graduates
story is
drop out of
drop
school.
out of school and do drugs, and you'll make a shitload.
For the
of money.
record, Zach's not doing drugs. He's a good boy.
Yeah.
He's got a dog now who loves him very much. He's a responsible adult.
He's an angel. Man's an angel. So after accepting to hop on the Bloom, after having a read, all is good. You start having chats with the director, Noah.
Yeah, I think, I started doing some work trying to make sense of the film, and we got on a call and we were talking about it. Our discussions were pretty brief.
Okay.
And I think
we didn't talk much.
we didn't talk much. We talked about references and tone and things, and then I guess some structural things to help me make sense of, the logic of the story and how that related to my character. But I've been quite critical. I was like, should I have asked more questions? Should we have done more?
Yeah,
But I listen to sometimes like a lot of actor interviews and things, and there's different experiences. Oh, I'm blanking again. Who's in The Piano Teacher?
Isabel Huppert.
Yeah, it was her interviewing, and she was talking about some, and she's an amazing actress. So hearing her say this meant the world to me. Someone who I'm like floored by as a performer says like sometimes when she works with directors, they have huge conversations. Sometimes there's nothing.
Yeah.
They just turn up and she works, and she's a very accomplished actress.
Yeah.
You feel like you put her in a film.
Yeah.
You know you're going to get something. You're casting her for a reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I felt better having seen Isabel Huppert not like drill the director for questions or like involve you in what I was doing. I think on reflection, I was mostly just like so stressed about the density of the script. I think it was like 80 something pages.
It was 70 pages.
70, which isn't long.
No.
But, I'm in every scene. I've got like phone conversations and like a monologue in there, and it's just a lot of text to chew through.
Oh, yeah.
And I got really a routine about how I was going to work through it. I got very structured in my approach.
Yep.
I broke down every scene in terms of complexity, length, like how much work I think I needed to do in it. And then I was like, there was 50 scenes.
Yep.
And I know this because I had a little notebook and I had 25 and 25.
Yep.
And I graded them all, and to figure out where I needed to apply myself the most.
Yep.
So I could work through it systematically and get across all this text.
That is to say that there were... Yeah, Jack was in 50 scenes, but the movie has 50 scenes. Like, Jack's in every scene.
Yeah.
Which is to explain, because, like, most movies had, like, 100 scenes, and that's had half as many scenes, but, like, that's just because they were longer on average.
And, like a lot of scenes play out in real time. And I knew that about, 70 pages, that's pretty scant, but,
Yeah.
Based on how we were talking about the reference points and things, I was like... Also, there was a lot of dialogue, and it was just going to take longer to do.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we had, one, maybe two conversations.
Yeah.
And, mostly talking about references and tone and things. Because I think, from my perspective, the character work was quite immediate. The relationships quite, guy, girl, guy, mother,
Yeah.
Guy, friend.
Yeah.
Like, those aren't, it's not like something crazy, like a serial killer and his dog sitter's mum's, angel, from heaven. It's
Yeah.
not some weird thing where you're like, how did this... They're all quite, clean relationships.
Sure.
So it was great. I was like, cool. I understand these. The script resonates with me. I can make sense of this. I know where I need to apply myself to make this work.
Mm-hmm.
It was just about sort of putting it in context to sort of put those thoughts out of my head and approach the work in the way I knew I needed to.
Sure.
And so being in a different state, I can imagine you did really not have much rehearsal time for this film.
We didn't rehearse at all
rehearse.
in a sort of formal sense, I did. I rehearse. I got very good at rehearsing on my own, and have had over the past few years. I have a little app where I speak dialogue. I have my dialogue. I have my scene partner's dialogue, and once I've got my lines down, I just sit there with the app running, and I just imagine the scenes, and it works pretty well. I'm able to make a pretty good stab at learning dialogue, and even fast dialogue. I can hear it said back to me.
Right.
And it's, it's not the same as having someone say it. I'm obviously giving a pretty flat performance when I record.
Sure.
I try and keep it pretty loose. because I don't want I don't want my performance to hinge on someone else. And in that rehearsal sense, I am that someone else.
Right.
You know, in certain scenes, you know, there's like, oh, then it might be clear they're going to yell at me, and I have that knowledge, and you know, you want to keep yourself open to feeling that when they do, and not be like, you know, plan a reaction is guess what I'm talking about.
Sure.
You want to, you know, put yourself in the headspace where you can be yelled at, and just have like this feeling of readiness is what I'm looking for. So, you know, I rehearsed a lot. I think even at one point, because I get out of bed a couple of times in the film, I said it to someone, I was like, oh yeah, I've rehearsed this a bit. And they're like, you rehearsed getting out of bed? I was like, fuck yeah, I did. You know, I want, like, getting out of bed is a specific thing. And I want to, like, I get out of bed a couple of times. And I'm not just getting out of bed like I'm waking up or I'm sick and I'm tired. And I'm looking for the specificity of that moment. And so, yes, I'm absolutely rehearsing that. And also, you know, getting out of bed as an example it's like a very specific thing you do, like intuitively.
Yep.
And so to act something that's like a feeling is quite difficult. So, you know, I interrogate myself, and when I wake up, I'm like, oh, how am I getting up? I do all sorts of odd things and then rehearse that and try and find in my own rehearsals that same feeling of when I have done it in the past, if possible.
Yeah.
You know, I wouldn't go and kill someone to learn what that felt like. You know, extreme things like that.
Yeah.
Although I did see in Gone Girl, you know, because she stabbed someone in that, she went to like a butcher and bought like a pig carcass, and she practiced stabbing that. Because pigs are pretty close to humans in terms of skin.
Yeah.
Because she wanted to like learn the feeling of what that was, to like have that as like a reference to when she was doing it. Because obviously she's not stabbing the person. And I get that you want to know that physical, because there's a specific physical like movement to that and how the knife would pierce the skin. And you know, if you're going to act that, like I would want to have something referenced to that I'm trying to imitate. Because at the end of the day, like you're faking stabbing someone.
Yeah.
You can feel the emotion to want to stab someone, like up here, but like your hand needs to fake it, like really does. So that's the kind of approach, you know, to those specific things. So like I rehearsed a shitload, and also like I was stressed. I'd never had a leading role in a film. I've done theatre pieces as a lead with lots of work and like similar script lengths, but I'd never prepared in isolation an entire script and then turned up on a wing and a prayer that it was going to like be okay.
Yeah.
You know, through a theatre rehearsal, you work on it, you workshop, and you get a sense of how it develops. And you know, that's a shared process you have with your cast and the director. But here, you know, this is why I was so self-conscious about like us not talking enough after the fact. Not at the time, I was too stressed, but like, how was I to know that it was going to be any good? Or like I should have probably been more guarded. Like, I was critical of myself in that regard. But, you know, I managed to dig deep and into my toolbox, and I was capable of doing it, and I'm proud of the work. I can't wait for it to come out. Yeah, it was a good experience, but tough.
Yeah.
Like, no bones about it.
I was wondering, because I was sort of being, I think I'd, like, when I'd send it to you or whatever, I'd send something just like, yeah, if you know, whenever you want to talk, it's all good, like, we can talk, like, I am available now that uni's over, and, like, I'm really, you know, I have time now, and it was just like, cool, yeah, all right, and we talked, like, you know, twice, 3 times, maybe, for, like, a couple of hours, and I was just like, I guess he's good, you know what I mean?
And even when we got together before, like, a couple of days before shooting or whatever,
Yeah.
you were like, do you need anything? I was like, no.
No. Yeah,
I was like, should I? Should I need something?
Yeah.
And at that point, I was like, ready to rock.
Yeah.
Like, I was excited to go. As nervous as I was, but it was like, let's do this, let's go.
Yeah.
And, you know, rehearsing's great when you can, but I'm not self-conscious about my performance enough that I have a problem shooting rehearsals.
Yep.
Yeah, it was great. We got there, we just got working and found our way as we started shooting. I think it worked well.
Cool. Sending you the script, obviously, I'm like, oh yeah, this is a big ask. Here we go. Like, and I would assume that you would have some understanding of the idea that, like, we don't have a lot of time or resources or anything to, like, do this too much, you know what I mean? So, like, and the lack of rehearsal time is, like, pretty much because there has to be a movie that has to be made. What the hell am I going to do? Book out a place to, like, rehearse for how many? Like, we don't have time to shoot it, let alone
But in
time
our
to rehearse it.
discussions, we spoke about,
Yeah.
like, you really, you know, it was a reasonable pace we shot at, and there was
Yeah.
space to take what we needed, you know, afternoons to shoot things, and we finished early sometimes.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, it never felt rushed.
Mhm.
We could take more time, and I think just sort of giving people more days off and a couple of shorter days would be nice.
Yeah.
But we managed the production pretty well.
Yeah, and I was a little bit worried about time, but I wasn't super worried about time because I kind of knew how I was shooting it in some sense. Like, you know, because, and I mean, there's a master and 2 singles, and, like, I don't do any of this, like, fidgety bullshit.
That was a great help.
Yeah.
You know, I love fancy shots. Nothing feels better than, like, a dolly zoom and a pan.
Yeah.
Like, it's just really exciting to me to be on a film set.
Yeah.
But there's something great, you know, you knew what you wanted, and then allowed me to sort of focus my performance. I felt very secure in what I was doing.
Mhm.
You know, a lot of frustrations I've had with directors in the past is, like, they leave you out of the conversation.
Yeah.
And, like, I don't know what we're shooting. Are we going to take from here? What are we doing? Why are we getting this shot? We just got, like, a very similar shot.
Yeah, right.
And, you know, you can do that. And, like, if that's what you need, yeah, that's what I'm signing up for.
Yeah.
But it felt very considered, like, how Bloom was shot, and that worked well for me.
I mean, a lot of that's out of, like, Haneke and Tarkovsky, and the fact that, like, I like that their styles of direction have a lot to do with the inherent pacing of the movie. So, like, Haneke talks a lot about wanting to minimize audience manipulation, and that maybe the best way to do that is to not manipulate time so much. So if you just run long takes, then you don't have the option to manipulate the time, you know what I mean? I knew I needed that a bit, and so of course you do singles, you know, and then when you and somebody talk, I can draw out how much time is between how much you said or what they said or anything like that. But yeah, I don't think it's useful to chop up an actor's performance while they're shooting it. Like, if I've written a scene and there's, like, an emotional through line throughout the scene, I feel like the scene starts here and it ends here. I don't know why I would cut your performance off at the 1/3 build-up mark to then in the climax we need a close-up. It's like, well, first of all, you don't. I mean, but, like, it seems like kind of disrespectful to the actors to me to, like, make them pull the emotion out, like, the second before the camera goes on, put it that way. And, like, it doesn't I don't think it services anybody. And, like, Orson Welles had said something similar. I think I was, like, watching an interview with him after the trial, like, talking about the trial, but like 15 years retrospective, talking about it. And he was saying some stuff about the fact that you should just, like, let your actors act and plan your shots and not cover yourself. Like, don't do any coverage. Just, like, let the scenes play and let the actors play the scene out and don't interrupt them. And I was just like, yeah, it feels a lot better that way. Because I feel like there's no confusion. It's like, this shot here of you acting, right? It starts at the start of the scene and then it ends at the end of the scene. So there's no, like, bullshit about, like, go up to here and then we'll cut and, like, no.
It's kind that you're thinking of your actors that way. I feel film acting it's about moments and finding moments.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, that's the challenge of film acting, is, like, the scene starts here to hit that moment, and that's where it begins. Whether that's where the scene starts or not, if you can shoot it from halfway, like, that's my problem.
Yeah.
You know, and then, you know, that's what I'm here to do. Like, I know, that's why I like knowing everything in a scene.
Sure.
So I can, like, okay, we want to shoot from here. I know where this is, and I know that, so I can hit that. And that's part of the craft of being a film actor.
Yeah.
That you need to do that.
Sure. Yeah. I totally think you. I just don't want that problem.
But it's obviously it's great if you can sidestep that.
Yeah.
And, longer takes are always fun to do. It allows you to sort of find a different rhythm to what you're doing, if not exhausting.
Yeah.
That last day we shot, the day we shot with Taylor, was the hardest day.
Yeah.
Because we shot 12-minute takes all day long.
Yeah.
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 Non-stop. That was rough. Like, I was listening to one episode with Taylor and he was talking about being tired. I was like, man, you were tired. Get in line. I'm the tired one here.
Yeah.
Like,
It was a lot to ask, but like, I feel like I did. I mean, I told you guys that that's what it was going to be that day.
but
I knew
also,
that was
like,
what it's going to be.
fuck, man, that's what you sign up for.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
the good shit. When you have a director who wants to give you the freedom to, like, put it all out there like that and work, like,
Yeah.
that's great.
Yeah, I feel like that's my problem for the edit. Like, I just don't care. It's just like, these guys are going to give you what they're going to give you, and then it's your job to fix it. And like, but they are like, I feel like sets should be catered towards actors, and I feel that way because they're the most, like, they are the independent variable in the experiment. Like, I can control the shot, I can control if it's in focus, I can control what the frame is. I know that my sound's recording.
Yeah.
I know all this stuff, and I know what the lines are, and I know when they're gonna come. The problem is, like, you don't know how the person is going to say or act the line. You know what I mean? That's the one thing you have to control for. So every other filmic element, I feel like, has to cater towards that. That's it. That's why I shoot that way. Yeah, go, Jason.
No, you go. It's okay.
You sure? Do you have a question? Because I don't have one.
I was just curious as to what Jack's favorite scene to perform in was.
Well, my favourite day was the big day. Did I say that on this episode or the last one?
I think it was this one.
No, it was the last one.
Oh,
That was... I don't know if it's my favourite scene, but I was just really enjoying the work that day. I said Noah and I were in sync, and it's a good place to be in where you're trying and, like, missing the mark, but, like, you're adjusting and tweaking, and it's good. Other good days... we shot some, like, effects, in-camera effects.
Yeah.
Those were fun.
Oh, yeah,
Oh, you
that
like
was
that?
great.
Yeah, that was so much fun.
Okay, cool.
Like, I love movie making.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so, like, that was really cool stuff.
I feel like a lot of that stuff. I mean, yeah, I'm trying to think of exactly what we did with in-camera effects, and I'm being like, I don't know how much, like, acting. there was
No,
in
but
all
that's the
that
thing.
stuff.
There's one where Claire and I were just laying on a bed,
Yeah.
and there was a fan on us.
Yeah.
But it's exciting to me to be part of, like, something like that.
Oh, cool.
The scene, I'd like to sit on set. I'm on set. I'm here to do my job.
Yeah.
Like, everyone else has their job.
Yeah.
I want to make sure my work is as on top of as I can be.
Sure.
But I do love how collaborative filmmaking is.
Yeah.
Sound recordist and effects later and effects on the day and the DP and the lighting and the costume and everything. It's, one of the great memories I have of a Griffith film production was I walked onto set and, like, the soundstage, they built a room and it was just full of shit. And it was like, you guys put all this shit, this little shit box for me to, like, come and act in?
Yeah.
I'm calling it shit box. I'm joking. It was like
Yeah.
it was like a manager's office.
Sure.
So it was cluttered and it was crazy, and they had, like, little Easter eggs in there, and it was so, like, encouraging to be part of that. And that's filmmaking. I enjoy what I'm doing, but being part of that is very rewarding as well.
Cool. Because I'm always on set those days being like, fuck, I hope these actors aren't bored. It's like nothing's, we're not doing shit, we're just playing around with cameras.
Yeah. Well, if you're waiting around too long, that's when it gets frustrating.
Yeah.
So many first-year film students. Like,
Let's go down this road.
Let's go down this
where I
road.
want to go.
This is
the good stuff.
This isn't about Bloom anymore. This is about
Go for it. I
the
don't
first
care.
thing we ever
Let's
shot
do it.
together.
Oh, fuck. Yeah, I remember
yeah.
that.
Yeah, this isn't where you thought I was going.
No.
When I first met these guys, I saw the ad online.
Oh, I want to know this story. It was actually in my phone. I forgot to ask this question. Just tell us your perspective of that whole
I'm
shit.
so scared.
Well, I first saw you guys were shooting a short film. I saw it on Star Now, and I saw first-year film students. Because I guess the intro about it was like, oh, that's interesting. First-year film students, nope.
Yeah, run away.
My experience was, bad ideas and just, like, drawn-out productions to shoot 5 minutes of film. Like, arguing about like some camera lens they learned about 20 minutes ago. You know, there's like 3 fucking DPs on set, and
Hell
they're
yeah.
all trying to light the scene. It's like just put any light up, like it's 11 o'clock at night.
Yep.
So my immediate reaction was no. And then Zach reached out to me, who I had met
Yeah.
on a short film set for his older brother Nick. And in that short film, I wear Zach's glasses, actually. And so Zach reached out to me, and I'm so flatterable because I'm an actor. I was like, sure, I'll audition for you. And then they sent me through a script, and I got it on a Friday. I was like, oh, it's a fucking monologue. I don't want to do this. And then I learned it on the Sunday, and I came in during the week and auditioned for you guys. And
Yeah, I remember that.
and then, yeah, there was that.
I remember Zach and I being like, how do we want to do this? Because we knew we wanted to like be the like director and cinematographer. I knew that because it was for a cinematography class. I knew Zach wanted to do the cinematography. I was like, sick. And he was like, you want to direct something so I can, like, you know, sort of that sort of. I was like, fuck it, sure. So he said, fuck it, we'll co-everything. We'll co-write and co-direct and co-cinematography. And Zach's just excellent with cameras. So I was just like, fuck it, let's go. Where do we get an actor? We were like, well, we need, and the rules for this assignment, by the way, were like, no dialogue. You have to just shoot somebody doing something. And I was like, fuck it, and it had to be this many pages. And we were like, okay, let's write a script that's this many pages, that many. That isn't a fucking headache to shoot. Zach was just like, let's do the smart thing. He's like, we're not going to the woods.
Oh, thank fuck,
we're
yeah.
shooting inside.
That is where I met Zach.
There
the
you go.
beer bar and forest.
There you go. Yeah.
Classic first year location.
Yeah.
Zach was just very adamant about all the practicalities of everything, and I was like, "Yep, I don't want to do any ridiculous shit." So, and then we asked Jackson to produce, and we were like, "Hey, Jackson, you want to fucking produce this thing?" Like, yeah, cool. So, that was that, and then we got that connect from. Zach was like, "Oh, my brother worked with this guy and said he's really good. Let's do that." And I was like, "Cool," because I don't know any fucking actors, and so and we were like, "We need to send an audition thing in." And we were like, well, how do we do an audition for a script with no dialogue in it? What do? Do we ask the guy to walk across the room and like pick something up?
I have done that before.
There you go.
I was sneaking around a room. They had like gels laid out.
Right, really? Nice. That was, anyhow, but yeah, so we were just like, well, we don't know, and Zach and I were just like, well, we have to give him some fucking scene to perform, right? And so we're like, well, monologue, it's a one-person thing, we're not going to have him talk to anybody, right? So we're just like, well, what's this? So we sent that monologue from Anomalisa, or like half of it, or like a third of it, or something. And you came in just to do the audition, and we were immediately like, oh yeah, this guy's, 3 times more professional than everybody else who's entered the audition room. And everybody else performed that monologue like it was, Shakespeare in front of like a really large theatre while they had to like yell over traffic. Like everybody else who came in.
Well,
and did
he's giving a speech at a conference.
He is.
So
yeah.
there is a sense to that, but that's. I mean, I didn't watch the scene. I hadn't seen the film at that point.
Yeah.
But I was trying to find like if I could find the scene for like a reference point.
Sure.
And I found an audio recording of it on YouTube.
Yeah.
So I listened to it once.
Yeah.
And from that, I was like, I got it.
Yeah.
Like I knew, I had some ideas about what he's talking about, but like I got the tone. I instantly knew what I needed to do. And I guess where I differed in my approach to everyone else is you don't give someone a scene you want to see them do that thing that's tonally on point.
Yeah.
You don't want to see them fucking change it.
Yeah.
So many actors think that they need to be like out of the gate doing their Heath Ledger Joker, like
Yes.
creating this new beautiful thing, and that's great, and that performance is amazing.
Yeah.
But like, that's not every time, and that's not this. Like, so I did the scene as like straight and as honest as I could to like what I thought he was going through in the scene, and it's a very internal scene.
Yeah.
Like he starts talking to a crowd and then sort of devolves into a personal rant, sort of, and it's weird.
Yeah.
He talks about masturbation.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing writing. It's Andy Kaufman.
Yeah. So anyhow, we sent like the first third of the scene, which is like I mean, the speech sort of degenerates into like more ridiculousness the further it goes along in that movie. But you know, the script was like simple, and we didn't want anything ridiculous. But yeah, so Jack comes into the room and he's like, "Hey, how are you?" Blah 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 blah. And he was sort of, you know, felt like I was being auditioned. Anyhow, but it was good. And he took control of it. He was like, "Can I sit down to do it?" And I was like, "Yeah, of course you can." And nobody else asked to sit down. Everybody else did, you know.
Really?
Yeah, everybody else did a Joker impression. I felt like Jackson knew this, and like so. Yeah, you sat down and you delivered this monologue pretty straight, and I was just like pretty blown away. And like, I mean, I was younger, but I felt like I had some sort of grasp on like knowing if acting was like bad, you know what I mean? So, and after it was done, I was like, yeah, this was really good. And I just looked at Jackson, and Jackson was like, I was like, yeah.
See, I've heard you tell this story before.
Yeah.
But I guess the missing piece is like I got no sense from you guys at all. Like I walked in, and you know, you try and break the ice a bit and talk.
Yeah.
And like, you know, I want to calm my nerves.
Sure.
And I like talking.
Yeah.
To do that. But you guys, you were like, no, all right, off you go. And I was like, all right, let's go. And that's why I was like, oh, I'm going to sit down. I'm going to find my moment.
Yeah.
I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's fine. You know, like, that is what it is. You know, you go to an audition. That's what you expect to do.
We're such
I'm trying to, like...
Yeah, we're pieces of shit.
That's
Man.
no, you shouldn't feel bad about that.
We just didn't know what we were doing, I felt like that's really what it was.
And that's,
Yeah.
you know, I say this because that's what I want to do to, like, cut the ice a bit.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's not for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah, I didn't get much of a sense from you guys until we, you know, started working more together. I guess I knew you were happy you didn't make me do it again.
No.
And I left, like, I hit my mark. I was pretty pleased with that as far as, like, an exercise in performing and auditioning went. So, like, even if I didn't get the role, I was like, yeah, cool.
Yeah.
That was good.
Okay.
Which is always what I want from something, is, like, making sure I'm getting something from it, experience or otherwise.
Yeah.
But it wasn't until, you know, we sat down and spoke about the script that you were, like, very considered, like, everything was thought about. I was like, oh, look at this first year film student trying to make a film. That's nice. That's refreshing. Like, this is going to be interesting. And then, you know, you were really organized on set, Jackson. Like, and it was, I guess I was a bit concerned. It's a pretty weak compliment, but like, this was your first time producing.
I'll take it.
And you were on it, and it worked, and it went pretty smoothly.
Yeah.
Aside from some failing batteries.
I remember our batteries kept fucking falling.
That was
Yeah,
pretty
I remember.
annoying.
That was annoying the shit out of me.
Which battery was it again?
It was just a V-Lock, because we were
That's
using
right.
a
Yeah, that's right,
Blackmagic,
V-Lock.
whatever it was, which just, the camera, which is just like a brick as it is, but then like also, it drains batteries so quick.
Where were we going with this?
I'm trying to steer
I
this
forgot.
back to Bloom.
Yeah.
somehow.
That was an almighty, like, divergence.
Yeah.
That was a hell of a divergence.
Well, I don't know. It's an origin story.
It is. That's our origin.
That's
an
an
origin
origin
story.
It's the three of us.
Yep.
Yeah.
From your perspective, what did I... don't say anybody else. What did I do wrong?
What did you do wrong?
Yeah.
I've got the joke answer, and that was, and this came up on set one day, like, you know, I was sitting here like this, and I was delivering my lines out there, and I could see you sitting around watching me.
Oh, this is cringe.
And this is great. Like, I could see you were sitting there, like, just fixed, like nodding along with, like, all my, like, deliveries and like, moments like, yeah, good. Yes.
Yeah.
And the funny part was, like, and I said this to you, was like,
Oh,
I could see you out at the corner of my eye, and I was agreeing with you.
Yes, I remember that.
Oh, and then you were like, you went into the other room instead of, like, watching me. That was pretty funny. And it wasn't like a, you know, I wasn't going to Christian Bale and yell at you because you were, like, you were ruining my shot. But
Yeah.
that was just a funny moment where I was like, fucker, he's right, isn't he?
I felt better after that in some strange way, because the first thing I felt was like, oh, I'm really fucking him up, like after he had said that. But then after, you know, there was some like strange comfort in it, because it was like, oh, we're actually on the same page about what good acting is. It's like, oh, that's a good thing to learn.
And like, I don't watch myself on set because I want to like stay out of my way as much as possible.
Yeah.
You know, if I'm watching a scene, I'll fixate on something pointless and small.
Sure.
And then I'm not, you know, in what I'm doing. So, I guess you might have taken that and been like, oh shit, if I'm going to throw him off. Then it didn't. Like, I think I'm pretty good with distractions and things.
So like,
yeah.
because of how the set was, there weren't like seats for anybody, and the monitor that we had was kind of a small monitor, and so we would just put it on the ground, and I would just sit on the ground, and the thing that kept going through my head, even though the monitor was here, was like, well, Isaac was using it for doing continuity stuff, and like I didn't want to be looking at this tiny little screen, and then the other thing that was going through my head was this like Sidney Lumet interview where he's just like, I don't understand why any directors look at the monitor. They're doing the performance in front of you. You're not going to be able to see this ever again. Just watch them, watch the fucking actors perform, and you'll see everything that they're doing. And I was just like, cool, I'll just watch the
I would
actors.
disagree with that to a degree, though.
Yeah, I would
Depending on the framing and things, movements and eye lines and things are so important.
Yeah.
And I'm always conscious of that stuff.
Yeah.
I think you've noticed that I'm always interested in the technical aspects of how the scene works.
Yeah.
I want to know the box I'm performing in because I'm modifying my performance to fill that.
Yeah.
Like I want to be doing something down here if you're just doing a super close-up. I want to know what I'm acting with.
Sure.
And that's, screen acting, stage acting.
Yep.
You're acting with your body completely.
Yep.
Versus utilizing that smaller space and understanding how that impacts when you do certain things on screen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So in some regards, I wish I was more like into watching myself. I feel like maybe I could be more precise about what I'm doing.
Sure.
But, I guess I'm kind of scared of fucking myself up.
Yep.
On the day.
Yep.
But, through COVID, I've done a lot of self-tapes.
Sure.
And I edit those. I'm watching myself back.
Yeah.
I'm getting better at it.
Sure.
It's a work in progress. It's not as painful as it used to be.
Yeah,
I'm also not as bad as I used to be.
Mm-hmm.
Early acting school footage, we'd film ourselves.
Yeah.
We did camera classes and things.
Yeah.
And I deleted all that footage.
Mm.
It's painful, it's bad.
Yeah.
And at a certain point I was like, I didn't hate that.
Mm-hmm.
Am I getting better? Nice.
Yeah.
And that's very comforting.
Yeah.
Don't need to be the best, just a little bit better each time.
Yeah, that's right.
That's the way to go about it. Helps you not go insane.
We didn't, we shot, a fair few takes, but I feel like the number of takes that we did was like some sense out of insurance, like to know that I have lots of different things to choose from. And then like the scenes were long, and so I don't have time to shoot more than like 7 takes of a 5-minute scene, for example, right? And I guess I am wondering from your perspective, once we get to 7 takes in here and my direction is like nothing, you know what I mean?
There was one scene where you were, I think we did it in a single take, we're laying on the bed talking.
Oh yeah.
And we did a lot of takes in that, and at the end you were like, are you okay? I was like, this is fine. I was having a great time.
Yeah.
That was a nice scene because it was just about those finer details.
Yeah.
I think it was easier to do lots of that because, I'm not ranting, I'm not raving, I'm not sprinting.
Yep.
There's no actual physical toll.
Yeah.
That's being put on top of the performance.
Yeah.
It was just about this small moment between 2 people. So it was quite enjoyable. I could have done that all day long.
Cool.
That was a nice bit of work to do. So yeah, and I knew you giving these funny directions. It's popping into my mind now, but I knew what the fuck you meant.
Okay.
Or at least in hindsight, I think I did.
I didn't even know what I was saying. I can't remember.
Me neither, but I knew what I was pushing towards.
Sure.
I was doing it in increments, and it was just sort of evolving nicely. And sometimes that's the only way to sort of evolve a performance.
Sure.
Is incrementally, or you go too far and you bring it back through repetition.
Mm-hmm.
Repetition is an interesting device in terms of modifying a performance.
Yeah. That was the most takes we did. I think it was 20-something takes.
Mm.
And the reason that I was doing so many was, first of all, it was in a bed, and I don't like singles in beds. I just feel like it's fucking awkward to stick the camera here and here, you know what I mean?
Oh,
it just
yeah.
feels weird, and the cutting of it isn't quite right because if you're shooting, say, from above the bed and you're doing singles, the place between the actors is not so visible, I feel, because it kind of feels like you're viewing two mugshots of people talking to each other, and they turn occasionally to look at each other, but the thing in the middle's not quite there. So I feel like I have to sort of just copy Lost in Translation and do the whole bed shot, you know what I mean? But like, once that was set up, and we ran the first take of that, it's a weird scene in the script. Like, it's a really weird scene. It's kind of strangely awkward, and it's not like a conversation that I feel like anybody would actually have with anybody else.
No.
So it's sort of like, do you know what I mean? It's not really like a human conversation.
I think, that was possibly, there's emotional work to do in the script, but those were some of the more challenging things to sort of find a line through.
Sure.
These sort of like non-conversation conversations.
Yeah.
There was always something very human about like what was being said.
Yeah.
But like the awareness of it at the time is interesting. I think I took a line with that. I definitely had an approach. I don't know how I feel about it in hindsight.
It plays fine to me, but like
that's the thing. Like I said earlier, like it doesn't matter what I was thinking or doing. It works for what the film was trying to achieve. But I think I've had an epiphany about it, and I'll tell you about it later, about like subliminally what my performance was, like how I was sort of structuring it unintelligently.
Sure.
Not subconsciously, just like accidentally, I think. Or maybe this is me trying to make sense of something that's happened and gone. It's interesting, you guys have seen Bloom in various cuts, but I haven't. And I've largely put it out of my mind. So there's lots of it I've forgotten.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be quite interesting to see it once it's all done and complete, because I'm going to be refinding it as I see it.
Might be a more objective viewing experience.
I think so. Maybe this is how I see myself in the future. Like, shoot a film, wait a few years, avoid it at all costs, don't do any press. I'll be the most popular actor of all time. I'll refuse to do press on, and then I'll talk about it, and then I'll watch it completely once I've forgotten everything.
I remember early in those takes shooting, I think after the first take we shot it, because you kind of lead that scene. Like, I feel like there are scenes where in the movie where like the other person is sort of leading it in a certain way, and like your responses are sort of, your like emotional responses or whatever are more determined by how they go about saying their lines. And like in that scene, I feel like Claire's responses were more determined by how you were approaching it. Like, and so...
Do you mean like me, the actor, was approaching it? Or like the characters?
Maybe both.
Maybe both. I mean, I guess the actor's one is always true.
Yeah.
Unless you are like, I don't know, a terrible actor.
Sure.
And your performance is completely clockwork and it's immovable.
Sure. I remember you coming into that scene, doing the first take of it, and then at the end of the first take of that, I just sort of sat back from it for a moment and was just like, I said something to you like, why is it so sad? Why are you being so sad about it? And I don't know, maybe we went off to the bathroom and had like a quick talk about something or whatever. I remember that, and sneaky director conversation type thing where you don't tell the other actor what's going on or whatever. And I was just like, yeah, whatever. That's not what this is. It's not. Yeah, whatever. And then we came back and did it the second take through, and I know this because it is recorded before the camera went off in the edit, so I know this is the case. It's like after take 2, you were like, yeah, that's better.
Yeah, you know what? This is coming back to me now. It's good when you can get direction, or at least I always want to be like open to changing something. As much as I want to have everything covered, I feel like that gives me the freedom to change.
Sure.
Because ultimately all the deeper ideas and things I've figured out, they should be true. If you're changing something like that's that deeply embedded in a film, like a relationship with the character, that's, it's just the details we're talking about.
Yeah.
And what that change meant didn't affect anything about the greater performance. I was able to adapt that. And I think, I don't know what I did differently, but it was like just a bit of levity or like approach to what the character was doing. And I guess I just didn't feel like such a fucking drag.
I felt like it was like this, and there's like nothing wrong with this, but like I felt like there was the first take of it was like this sort of like drony sort of like depressed sort of take.
Yeah.
Which is like appropriate for like a lot of scenes, or like in
Yeah,
other
that is-
movies and this whatever, you know. But then it was just like, I don't know. This is not. I don't feel like that's the core of this. Like what's being said has more to do with like not understanding what's going on than it does like, you know, knowing that what this is. And I felt like you going into that scene, that opening where you know, I was like, yeah, this is not right. So I just had to completely change it. But like almost every scene in the movie, the way that you came into it was very like, I feel like we were on the same page as to like what was going on and how you were gonna respond and things like this. Like I wasn't super surprised a lot by your or what I felt like your interpretation was of what it was, because
That's good.
Yeah.
But also, like, I guess I want to be more a dynamic actor.
Yeah.
Because we learned so much about working through this, that the next time there's going to be, like, something else in our arsenal to bring to the table.
Yeah.
I definitely feel that about myself.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure you're imagining doing things differently already.
Sure. Yeah, I think so.
Mm. You know what? If you didn't answer that in agreeing with me, I'd leave.
What do you mean, doing things differently?
Yeah, I'm not doing things exactly the same.
Yeah.
No changes. Perfection. Perfection was had on blue.
That's where
We've reached it, boys. We're done.
Yeah.
We perfected filmmaking.
Yeah. Game over, chats.
In my interpretation of what I've written in terms of like directing it, sort of putting it that way, sending the script to you, like I don't feel like I wrote a script that had, and like this is not like a positive or a negative, it's just what the story is. Like I don't feel like there's so much emotional variation in what's happening in the script. Like in that, in a lot of the scenes, everybody's tired and it's quite like, you know, quiet. Put it that way. Is that is that weird? Is that
That
like,
was a challenge.
okay?
Not in terms of performing, but I guess how you perceive your performance.
Mm-hmm.
Doing less feels like a struggle.
Right.
Sometimes, you know, I watch a lot of performances and you see actors doing something like, that's working. What is it?
Mm-hmm.
And often, you know, like why is this so engaging? They're doing so little.
Mm-hmm.
But I think, you know, and that was all through my rehearsing and prepping, was like, I feel like getting comfortable with the simplicity of what it was the scene was about.
Yeah.
And then it continued on set.
Yep.
Like as we worked, and I sort of found a better groove to what the character was and how the scene should work. I think, you know, watching The Piano Teacher was great.
Yeah, I think I told you to see that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just, you know, good tone, reference, and like, you know, obviously the character I played in that performance is not at all like Isabelle Hubert's.
No.
You know, she's, you know, the most tightly wound, repressed person in the world, and, you know, my character's nothing like that. But seeing performances like that where it's, you know, so controlled,
Yeah.
and the way it's presented is so, you know, still and gorgeous, is great comfort to me, that I can sort of lean back on what I'm doing internally and let that be enough.
Yep.
I think, you know, at this point in my career, I'm certainly still looking for some sort of validation that I'm good enough.
Right.
And I probably always will be. I'm a pretty self-critical person and somewhat of a perfectionist. But, you know, acting has sort of opened me up to sort of imperfections.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think you need to get comfortable with those, because those are the unique things that happen on the day and the moment and that place that add colour and life to a performance. And if you try and iron that out, you're going to be boring.
Yeah.
You know, you want to sort of find that sort of grit.
Mm-hmm.
That's the cool stuff. But, you know, your character should still be, you know, as comfortable and still as possible. Because I think we overthink those sorts of things.
Yeah.
Things of like acting.
Sure.
Yes, I'm doing the big acting.
Right.
But, you know, it's the small stuff that really excites me.
Mm-hmm.
Like the year that Leo won Best Picture or Best Actor for
Revenant.
eating
Yeah.
beef.
Yeah.
you know, that performance did not impress me at all, but Michael Fassbender in Jobs did, because, you know, I could see this beautifully crafted, delicate performance that he was, you know, his character's so like, poof, and it's just like, and, you know, through the different time periods and how he was modifying it, and you know, I've seen interviews with Fassbender and his other performances, like, not that I could see the acting that he's doing, but like I could appreciate the performance and how like fine it was.
Yeah.
It was really nice. Okay film, good film.
Yeah.
But, you know, him in particular was like, yeah, this is nice. This is good detailed work, you know, like threading a needle.
I feel like a lot of the ways in which awards are awarded to actors and in other departments, but we're talking about acting here, is very indicative of how people perceive what good acting is, in that it's not the best acting, it's the most acting. It's like whoever did the most of the thing, and the most of the thing just means loud, fast, fucking, you know.
I mean, and this is why impersonations of name characters and famous people do so well, because there is something to compare it to.
Sure.
And you can quantify good acting that way.
Yeah,
you know, like there he is and there they are. Look how good it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is, you know, not to knock those performances, because there's great ones, but, you know, there's great work out there that's not that.
Yeah.
That gets sort of forgotten.
I think saying like, you know, watch the piano teacher was like a good piece of direction, because it was like, so here's, you know, tone, here's pacing, here's like similar to how it's shot, so like, you know, that I'm not going to be, you know, whip panning and strapping cameras to things, and you know what I mean, just to be like, this is simple and just keep it that way. You know what I mean?
Well, it was a good reference to watch. I think when we spoke first, I was watching Possession, which is an incredibly performed film.
I love that movie, yeah.
But there's such heightened performances.
Yeah.
Like, that's a great reference for something, I don't know what, but like you wouldn't share that idly with someone.
No.
Unless you wanted to sort of push it into a certain direction.
Yeah. Everybody in that movie's acting just insane. Well, that movie starts at like 11.
Yeah.
And it just continues at 11 as well. It doesn't really, And it's not, there's nothing in that performance that feels like there's some sections of it, but a lot of it feels like very surrealistic acting. It feels like acting that belongs in Eraserhead or belongs in Blue Velvet. It's like
exactly
acting that is essentially trying to accomplish a purpose that isn't realism for the sake of the story. Like in Eraserhead, people are acting as if they are part of a dream because that's what the film is. Or like in that movie, it's like a lot of it feels like it's you know, it's a dream reality, but like it's like acting through your like subconscious, and like the characters are written that way, so they just exaggerate and are nuts. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like there's it's a little bit weird to send out and I'm not sure, you know, even how many actors on Bloom knew or got this when I said that script, but like, because I just sort of didn't tell anybody to treat it like it was anything other than realism, because at the end of the day, it wasn't really their problem. Yeah,
and that's my approach to it was, you know, it was straight.
Yeah.
You know, when you have a dream, the dream reality is your reality. So, you know, there's bubbles in the room floating around, for example.
Yeah.
You're not like, oh my gosh, where did all these bubbles come from?
Yeah.
You know, there's bubbles in the room, that's your reality.
Yeah.
Like, you just sort of take it as it is.
Yeah.
And that was my approach to the scene work. You know, I understood the script enough to, you know, not be confused, but then I got to work with making these like moments real, because that was the chief thing that I was responsible for doing.
Yeah.
Everything else was not, like you said, not my problem.
Yeah.
And you know, at the end of the day, that is what I'm there to do.
Mm-hmm. It was good it was just very good that you got that, because I feel like there was like bits in it, or like people who were asking me questions, things like, you know, worrying about if scenes were taking place in reality or not in reality, and like that would in some way change their performance or the way in which they were acting it. And my sort of feeling on it was just like, treat everything like it's really, really fucking real, and like it doesn't, you know, just it's I think it's interesting, like sending an actor a script that is clearly like taking place in some sort of dream reality, and then they somehow think that their performance needs to reflect some sort of dreamy quality, and I'm just being there like, no, that's just the story, just like it's
Ultimately, I ignored all of that stuff.
Yeah, right.
And tried to make sense of my character's immediate motivations and things in front of me. Which, I feel is an appropriate thing to do. I mean, I guess it was. I would do things differently, obviously, if I came at it again, but
sure.
I don't think that was wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly not tonally.
No.
Yeah. When you're in the scene, you're just not thinking about that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I always get a little concerned when I talk to actors before, because when they ask me those sorts of questions, I'm thinking, are you thinking that you need to like act weirdly in order to like do something to like make the
Would
scene
you manage that
weird?
differently in the future if you sent out like a similar script? Like, do you think you would preempt it and try and sort of set a ground rule, or like give them something to go off, or like?
I feel like actors were coming at me with, some of them were coming with like story interpretations of like what was happening, and then like I would clear that stuff up to some extent, only to the extent that I felt like where people were on the page of what's going on, because I felt like the scenes as they are singular, like scenes as they exist, I don't feel like there were any scenes that were like totally whacked out or complicated. Like it seemed kind of simple, like what was happening, like this person's confessing this, or this person is trying to get like somebody to do this thing or whatever. Like they seemed like simple sort of motivated scenes, put it that way. I mean, I get that it's weird when I send it out, that it's weird, but like, I don't know, it's kind of strange. I think that I also have a blind spot where like, because I see a lot of weird movies, that I think that like my scale for what is weird is like here, you know what I mean? So when I send stuff out, I'm sometimes oblivious to the fact that other people are going to find it weird. So I'm just like, it's obviously my fault and my problem, but it's just one of those things where you go, just treat it like it's any other dramatic movie that completely takes place in reality. Like I guess if I wanted you to act it in like some sort of strange, weird way, like I would let you know. But I feel like most of my direction on that set, what it ended up boiling down to get a more realistic performance out of people, was just saying like, take it down 10%.
Take it down 10%. Yeah, there's a lot of that.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I think even running takes again and again is helpful.
Yeah.
To burn off a bit of energy. You turn up hot for the day. You want to like do your best.
Yeah.
You just need to sort of
exhaust actors out so that they do
Which
less.
is why David Fincher does so many takes.
Yeah.
Aside from being like a crazy perfectionist with
Yeah.
details,
Yeah.
I do know for a fact that he's like intentionally wearing you out.
Yeah.
And I've never had a problem with performances in his films.
Mm-hmm.
No, I think some people do, and I'm like, what the fuck are you watching?
Yeah.
They're always solid. Like, he's a great director.
There was one scene where you and Claire had to talk, but like it was like quite a conversational scene, and I remember like the fact that it didn't feel conversational. So like after like the first take or two, you guys are sitting on this couch, and I was
I
like,
remember this.
and I was like, are you too like comfortable on that couch?
We're both like, nope.
You were both, no, but it was both like the case of like both of you sitting on the couch, like it was like, you're like The Sims or something.
Well, it was an
And
awkward couch.
It was a terrible couch.
It was terrible, and so like it's not a couch you could just sit in, and so obviously, your instinct is to like sit a certain way and cheat yourself out.
Yeah.
You're trying to be as precise acting man as you can be.
Yeah.
But it doesn't read right.
No.
And you were right to come in and be like, do something else.
Yeah.
And then we're both just like, we slumped into it a bit more, and
Yeah.
that was so much better.
And we started those takes by like you two just talking about something that the scene didn't even have to do with.
Yeah, we
for,
shot
like,
for a
2
while.
minutes.
There was like a lot of chat in between.
Yeah.
Just like, and I do like to do that as well. If I don't want to be moping around on set and, Daniel Day-Lewising in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
But, you want to lead yourself into like, I call it like the emotional tone
Mm-hmm.
of like a scene. You want to sort of bring yourself down.
Yeah.
Breathing's great for that.
Yeah.
But, talking to people. If I'm chatty, I want to talk to people.
Yeah.
Get myself comfortable, but also like, raise my energy up.
Yeah.
Doing anything I can to sort of find my entry point, So it's not like suddenly I'm acting.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm already here, and I can just sort of lean into where it's going.
Yeah.
You know, to create that emotional through line.
I know that stuff is helpful for me as a director, and that I prefer which is one of the things that you do greatly as an actor. That is like maybe not an acting thing, but like when you're on set and there's a bunch of crew people around or whatever. Like I've had experiences with actors where they'll like purposefully remove themselves from talking to people, and it doesn't even feel like it's for a reason of like getting into character. It just feels like, you know, like I'm here to act. I'm not here to do that sort of stuff. But like you're very communicative with everybody, and I feel like the tone that I like my set to be in is like, you know, we're here to do the work, so it's not like do something crazy, which is why there's not many people on my sets. And it's just like, but let's do it sort of in some sense quietly. Like I don't want anybody to be like yelling at anybody else to like hurry up or move fast or action or cut, or like I don't understand any director who like yells at an actor to get it through their head to do some sort of direction. Just seems like totally counterproductive to me. It's just like, let's just settle in, and if everybody's natural, then the performance will echo more that way. And if I speak in a lower tone to you as an actor, maybe you'll do that on camera a bit more. Stuff like that.
I've not had a director try and manipulate me yet. I'm sure I will. You know, famous examples of that, and I can think of, you know, yelling at you, or, you know, Kubrick with Shelley Duvall, and who else? I don't know. I don't know how I would respond to that. I'd be against it, I think. More inclined to tell you to fuck off. Just because, you know, I'm here to do my job. I don't need you messing with my shit. It's somewhat insulting that like you're not trusting me enough to get it where it needs to go.
Sure.
And you're also like, come on, man. Like, that's what you're going to do? That's a bit cheap and lazy.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like the maybe the Kubrick to Shelley Duvall example, I don't know that it's manipulation. I would classify that more as like just sort of general abuse.
That's not a great example, you know, because that was, I mean, he went too far there.
Yeah, he was just being like really rude and mean.
And on the flip side, like he was perfectly great with Jack Nicholson.
Yeah.
Like, you know, come on.
That on-set footage is insane. It's like Shelley's hair is like falling out and he's just like, oh, look, Shelley lost some hair.
Fucked up.
He just doesn't get. Or like there's one scene where she's supposed to come outside when a snow machine's going and he just goes off at her. Like, this total thing. And I was just like, wow, man. But you can tell that he was intentionally doing it to isolate her, because that's what she's experiencing as a character in that movie. It's like she's been shut off from the world and she has nobody to talk to, and so that's what Kubrick's doing to her on set to get that performance out of her. But it's just like,
you know, I love Kubrick and it's great and whatnot. The film is great, but you know, my gut is like, if you needed to do that to her, you should have hired someone else.
Yeah.
You know, like
hire an actor at least who agrees to be abused to get the performance out. I don't know. It was weird. Do we have more to talk about? I don't know.
I have something you can close it out with.
Yeah, go for it.
No, not like a outro, but like a final question to rest on or something, or like something to talk about.
You do? You have?
Does anyone?
Oh.
What are your thoughts on Cat in the Hat?
I haven't seen Cat in the Hat.
Oh, that's right.
Jack hasn't seen Cat.
I want to
about
have
that.
a watch party.
Next time Jack's
Not this
up.
weekend, next time.
Yeah, next time Jack's up.
We can watch Neil Breen's next film.
We were talking
Is it out?
about making
It's done.
him and Taylor watch it.
Is it out though? Can we
No.
watch it? Okay. Right.
I mean, even if it's out, can you get it?
Oh, true.
You've got to contact Neil Breen directly, and he'll send you a privately scanned DVD
We could so do it.
that he's written Sharpie on.
I'm down.
We need to do a...
Taylor hasn't seen any Breen either.
No. We could do a live reaction to Cat in the Hat. I think we've discussed this before.
We have.
We wanted to do it with you and Taylor.
Yeah, neither of us have
seen
it.
You've seen it.
Yeah. That's the move.
Yeah, I'm down.
And I know that Isaac and Jackson and myself have seen it at least 50 times.
Yeah.
Not exaggerating, probably upwards of 2,000 times.
Yeah.
Because of me as a child.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that sounds good to me. Final question. Jack, what's your end game with this? What's your end game for acting? Where do you want to be in your professional career?
I mean, a working actor.
Yeah, Marvel movies like.
You know what? People have asked if I could make a living off acting, that'd be great. You know, some people when they hear that answer, they're disappointed. They don't want to hear you say winning Oscars and like being superheroes. And I'm like, what do you mean? Like, I just want to do some acting, man. It's great. Like anything on top of that is, you know, icing. You know, obviously control to choose projects and things is great, but you know, working on things like Bloom and other sort of interesting projects is the end game.
Yeah.
If I can get in a position where I can do that for money, like, who wouldn't want that? That's the goal. Fulfilling work, working with people, you know, the ability to sort of reach out and connect with people.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, what is it, Batman hitting up the Safdie brothers and then, you know, writing a film for him. That's impressive.
Yeah.
You know? One that Pattinson like saw their talent, I think, just from some still photographs.
Yeah.
So props to him for picking that. But then the great filmmakers, that's the cool shit that resonates with me.
Yeah.
People around the world connecting and making stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's the end game, really. And then, you know, Calligram's in the mix too. So supporting people making films in Australia as well. That's super cool. I'd love to see more Australian content out there with me in it. Or me associated with it, you know, both are acceptable.
Jack Murphy will be the face of Australian filmmaking.
Yeah, give me some time.
Nice.
Oh, it sounds
sorry.
awful.
Perfect. Nothing else?
I think so. I think we're right.
Let's wrap it there.
All right, let's wrap that up. Well, thank you everybody for watching and listening to this episode of the Calligram podcast with Jack T. Murphy. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for coming down specifically for this podcast.
Thanks for having me.
I appreciate it.
It's been a blast.
And it's definitely been a blast. Well, thank you, and see you guys next time.
Bye.